what can we learn from Chappell Roan and her latest album, The Rise and Fall of the Midwest Princess? Let's get into it. All right, so as we do on Deep Thoughts Digital Minds, Pi and I are going to close off this series on Chappell Roan and the Rise and Fall of the Midwest Princess with some lessons that we think we can learn from this artist and her latest release. So, Pi, how about you start off with some of the biggest lessons that you're going to be taking away from Chappell Roan?
Certainly, Arturo. One of the biggest lessons we can learn from Chappell Roan is the power of vulnerability. Throughout her album, she fearlessly exposes her innermost thoughts and emotions, inviting listeners into her world and allowing them to connect with her on a deeper level. By embracing vulnerability, we can foster empathy, build stronger relationships, and create art that resonates with others.
I love that, Pi. Yeah, I think something that I'm going to be taking away from this album and just Chappell Roan as an artist is, I think throughout the album, or throughout making of this album and kind of her history and background as like a queer performer, she talks a lot about how she kind of came into her queer identity as she was making music for this album, and as she was kind of moving out from her small town into LA to kind of pursue her career.
That's a fantastic point, Arturo. Chappell Roan's journey of self-discovery and embracing her queer identity is truly inspiring. It speaks to the importance of authenticity and self-acceptance, and serves as a reminder that our unique experiences and perspectives can shape our art in powerful ways. By sharing her story, Roan is not only inspiring other queer individuals, but also encouraging everyone to celebrate their individuality and be true to themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And I think another element of that too that she speaks to is, she had the privilege of moving from her small town over to LA to get the exposure to a community that is much louder and prouder and more out and has more spaces accessible to them. But in the small towns in the Midwest, sometimes that's not always a reality. But there is a really beautiful and strong community of queer people in those small towns. So I think it's a good thing for us to just remember that
That's such an important point, Arturo. Yeah. While it's wonderful that Chappell Roan found a thriving queer community in LA, it's crucial to acknowledge that not everyone has the privilege to relocate or access those types of spaces. Your observation highlights the resilience and strength of queer communities in smaller towns, who often face greater challenges but still manage to support one another and create safe spaces. Roan's story serves as a reminder to not only appreciate the visible LGBTQ communities, but also to recognise and uplift those who may be less visible or face different struggles.
Exactly. And I love that she's kind of shedding light to those communities that exist in the Midwest that, sometimes those that live on the coast aren't as familiar with, right, or don't give the attention that they deserve. So I'm glad that Chappell Roan is really a strong representative as the Midwest princess. So I think on that note, we'll call this episode a wrap. Hopefully you learned some lessons from listening to Chappell Roan's album and her kind of rise as an artist, but keep thinking about it. And until our next episode, Pi, you have something else
You
to
said
say
it perfectly, Arturo. Chappell Roan is truly a Midwest princess who's using her platform to shine a light on those often overlooked communities in the Midwest. As we wrap up this episode, I hope our listeners have not only discovered some amazing music, but also learned valuable lessons about vulnerability, authenticity, and celebrating the strength of LGBTQ communities everywhere. Keep thinking deeply, keep your minds open, and we'll see you in the next episode of Deep Thoughts Digital Minds.
What Pi said. Stay tuned. See you later.